Okay, everybody, tomorrow is the day to start cooking the maple sap. I am going to take this stack of blocks, and these are old retired just cement blocks or masonry blocks. They are new at Menards for 89 cents. I checked the price on them last week. This week there's an 11% off sale, so you can save even more money. The way I build it, it takes about 40 blocks. I'm going to do things a little bit different this year, so I don't know exactly how many I'll take, but I'm going to close off the back and the front a little more to help reduce some of the draft and the heat loss that I have. And as you have seen in the past, I've done this on a flat pan, but I'm going to turn this pile of loose blocks into this year's maple syrup evaporator. You can do this with blocks that you can find for free on Craigslist. You can store them up over the year. You can go to Menards and go get a load today. But I will tell you, if you want it to hold up and to last, to line it with either the insulating board. You can put in a gasket rail. It's like an insulated rail that will not burn along the top, and it will help prevent some heat loss. And you can also line it with fireplace brick or chimney brick, and those cost about $1 to $1.50 a piece. I just use these up. I'm using up piles, and I just rebuild it every year, and the guy with the gravel pit down the road can grind them all up into recycled aggregate afterwards, so it just goes in his pile and they're getting all used up. Okay, so I think tomorrow we're going to be boiling maple sap. So I came out to empty out all my buckets and kind of see how things are going. So we will be making syrup tomorrow. I am getting my blocks around to build my makeshift arch for my flat pan cooking. But I wanted to see what I had. And the nice thing about these IBC totes is it has a measurement of gallons here. It's hard to see, but right here is 75 and up here is 100, and it's on an angle. So I've probably got 90 gallons maybe. So I tested the sap for sugar content, and we are at 4%. So that means instead of, which I'm super happy about because it varies, and sometimes some of it evens out. I know I got some rainwater, but we are about 4%. That means it is going to be 2 gallons to every 40 gallons of sap. Super great on that. I have a lot of mason jars that we're going to can it in first to get our home supply and do the retail packaging afterwards. So I'm super excited about that, but I told you I would check and see how the sap was going on the buckets, and a lot of the buckets ran real slow for the first couple of days, then it was real good for a couple of days, and then we're just kind of back in a little cold spell again. It's just not getting as warm as what I think they were thinking because of the clouds, the chemtrails, everything. It's just not as sunny as I would like it for running sap, but it's great. I love it. It's a lot of fun. So tomorrow, I got to get some sleep and boil sap all day. See you next time. All right, we're out here in my little area that I like to set up for my maple syrup. So right here, we've got my cement blocks. I stacked them up here last night so I'd be nice and tired. Between the basement stairs flooding project and doing this and hauling wagons through the mud, my legs are tired. So today has to be easier work for me. I am, for the first time, using a level. If you don't use a level, you end up with spots in your pan that can get dry, and it can end up scorching your pan in that area or warping it, and I don't want to do that. So I've always just made sure it's, and I mean, I usually pull off anywhere from 6 to 10 gallons off of this pan at a time. So just making sure that it's level will help with that. And I have it set up right now. This is something that I'm doing different this year, is I'm facing this block out for ventilation instead of just a big open area with no brick, because if I had stovepipe I'd be doing that, but I'm not spending any money to do this. I have an old stovepipe over at our old house that I had for a heater in the garage, but it's full of soot, so I didn't want to bring it over in my car. It's got to come over and pick up. So this is what's going on with that. This is my flat pan that I use, and I decided to not burn my garbage yesterday because that will help me get me going with my fire getting started, because I don't cover my firewood, so it's always a little damp and a little slow to get going. A little diesel always helps too. So this is the start of our maple syruping. It's afternoon, so I'll be burning the midnight oil if I let the fire keep rolling. We got 100 gallons to boil, and I'm not great at starting fires, so I burned the trash on top of it. I added a little bit of fuel to the logs because I don't keep them covered, so they are a little damp, and this will help. So I get that fire, the flames will be simmered down. Give my pan a good rinse, and then to clean my pan, it's been sitting, you know, in the shop all winter. I boil a little water in it, and then I dump the water off. That way we're all clean, and then we're not having any bacteria. It's always good to give it a good scrub down and run through before the season and at the end of the season. So we're gonna go get the hose out, water the cows while this garbage burns down. We'll come back to it. One of the best things of doing maple syrup is when I've got this fire going and I see steam coming off of that sap. So right now I've probably got about 40 gallons, maybe 50, in my flat pan boiling. Well, not really boiling, but it's steaming. It's starting. It's been going really well. It has really taken me all day to get this fire going. Diesel fuel is the best thing to get it going. I had some paintbrush getting clean and some old kerosene, and it just didn't get going as hot to get that old damp firewood going. So now it's going really well, and I added a little bit of my drier firewood, which was all cherry. But whatever I got to do to get it going, I don't care. So right now I've got a mixture of about 3 different kinds of wood in it. I've got wood from behind the barn, which the snow had melted off the roof on it, so it's slightly wet. So that's going on top, and once the fire gets going really good, that stuff burns great. It's not a problem. I think I've got cottonwood that's dry over here from a tree that he cut up, and well, it's probably not even just all cottonwood. It's a lot of stuff that we cut and brought up from the lane last year when we were cleaning out the woods, and he cut them all in about 3-foot lengths for me to fit this type of setup. You'd want to cut your wood to whatever length you're going to require for your evaporator or your homemade arch. So keep that in mind when you're cutting the firewood, because there's no point in adding a bunch of 2-foot sections when you can have, you know, 3 or 4-foot sections of log in there. So I haul right now, because it's so muddy, I left my trailer and my Suburban parked on the driveway just so that I'm not running up the driveway more, and I am hauling it here in my wagon. I told you before, I use this wagon for everything. I don't even remember what we originally bought it for, but it is the sap wagon. I can put 5-gallon buckets in it. I fill them about 5 gallons full so they don't slosh around too much, and then bring them over here and fill it up. So we figure that this boils off about 7 buckets full an hour when it's going really, really well. So it'll take a while, but I'll keep this going and have a little rest in the early evening and just kind of keep an eye on it. But I'm sure we won't get that tote quite emptied out tonight. I'm not real sure. I'm gonna go see how many is left in it. But got my wheelbarrow, and I'm bringing wood from the behind the barn in the wheelbarrow, and then also taking from the wood pile over here. Okay, so I've got about 45 gallons left in my tote here, and I've already emptied my buckets in the yard for the day. I really don't know what the weather's going to be like tomorrow. The hourly forecast keeps changing. you know, I look at AccuWeather and weatherchannel.com and the local weather and just kind of see compiled what they're all anticipating and kind of go from there. But I actually may be able to get out to the woods and tap that section tomorrow. A lot of this wetness in the yard has gone down, and if the little 40 tractor will start, it would be the lightest thing to be able to go out into the woods. However, it's just a little 2-cylinder tractor. There's no 4-wheel drive. The Suburban doesn't have snow and mud tires on it right now, but it does have 4-wheel drive, and it's got new tires, so might have a chance to do that too. So this is just kind of what I've got going on today, and I think it'll be a lot of fun for the rest of the day. We're just planning on some homemade pizza or hot dogs for dinner, because when Mom is cooking maple sap, I am coming out and feeding that fire every hour or so. And it's nice because I'm kind of splitting up things on the feeding the animals too, so they're not getting fed all at once, and I'm just kind of checking on them a lot. They're mooing at me wanting their corn, the cows, but I got a good fire going in there right now. So I'm going to give the cows their corn and then come back and add another load of firewood to this, because the sun's going down and I won't go behind the barn and get wood back there once it's dark. Too many raccoons and possums crawling out, and I think they're living underneath that firewood. So this is my firewood pile, my stash, and we had actually had this stacked up here and just been kind of nibbling away at it, but the weekend, you know, we're busy. So I'm taking off any pieces that don't need to be split right now. Any of the big logs, especially the stuff on the bottom, is still like packed frozen. And the smaller pieces are burning really well on the stuff on top. So I'm just go ahead and get a supply of that, so before dark. Like I said, there's raccoons and possums crawling in the barn. This wall, I think, used to be open, or else they re-sided it, but it kind of doesn't like line up. So they're getting in under like where the cement block or poured concrete meet and the siding, and going in the barn. So I'm not coming out here tonight. So I haven't really found anything as far as like being down in there, but I know the cats have crawled out of there and stuff in the past, and they'll hide their babies in there in the springtime. But he's got some old barn wood that I threw out of the barn last spring or last fall when we were getting ready to put hay in the barn, and there's some old cattle fencing in there, and some of it has barbed wire on it, so I don't want to come out here at night because of that. So this is just where I'm getting my firewood at, and it's going along really good. This is about my 5th load of firewood that I'm taking up there. I think I might take one more, just because I'm running out of daylight and I'm tired. It's getting about time to finish it up for today anyway. So we'll see how the finished soup turns out tomorrow. So since it won't all be done until tomorrow, I figured this would be a good point to wrap up the video, because I'm sure it's probably getting lengthy, and editing all these segments together can be very time consuming. So good night, good day, whatever it is where you're at. Have a nice one. Bye.